Hi, everybody. I am so excited to be with you today and to share this highly requested tutorial with you guys. On my live streams on Monday and Thursday nights, this is what I've been asked about the most is how I use OneNote in my process as an indie author in publishing my new book, The Ledger. So I am on here today to pull up that information for you and show you how to do it. So the first thing I want to say is if you've never been here before, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy to have you. My name is Jody Jean Daniels. I am an author and accidental YouTuber. And I just really enjoy sharing the tips and the tricks that I've learned as an author, a self-published author with you guys. So if you have that dream in your heart of you want to do that, you want to write a book, this tutorial is for you. It really steps into helping you get from the idea in your head to the book in your hand. So I am going to be showing you guys how to use OneNote. It is a free tool that anybody can get and download. I will also show you, there will be descriptions in the link. There'll be links, rather, in the description that you can click on so you can get the OneNote. You can research and do all the things you need to do to decide if it's for you. And I really think that you're going to enjoy it. The other thing to keep in mind is that for this month, in the month of January, it is totally free to book a 30-minute coffee chat with me. And if you have any trouble going through the steps of creating your own OneNote notebook, or you want to go through capturing your idea, how do I really do this? Then I will be more than happy to help you with that. There'll be a link in the box that will show you. I have a ringing in my ear. Sorry, guys. There will be a link below that's to my Calendarly, and you can just pick a date and a time, and I will set that up and get with you. So I'm excited. But right now, let me share my screen with you guys. I want to show you my OneNote. All right, here we go. Let's just jump in. All right, OneNote, this is all the information that you're going to find in the description below, so you can just click on things to get your own OneNote. What happens is when you go up here and you're opening up OneNote, it lets you add your notebook. I've already added one for us today just for time's sake, and I named it just right, Jody Jean Daniels Tutorials. And you can see I have others. I thought about using one of these instead, but they had a little bit of personal information in them. So I was afraid I would show a spoiler for a new book or something like that. So that, and then right here, the next thing it'll do is it will bring up one of these tabs like this. And you can name that tab anything you want. So if you want to name it Capture My Idea, you can. And then it's there. And then if you want to add pages, you're going to go here, and maybe this would be Act 1, Scene 1. I think this is where this one is going to go. I think that's what that is. So that's just to show you how easy it is to use. All right, now, what we're going to be covering today, because there was 10 tips, but I realized it was going to get a little long and the video might be too much. So I broke it down. So this will be 2 parts. So what I'm doing today and what I'm going to cover with you today is 1, creating your OneNote notebook and capturing your idea. So we're going to about to go over capturing your idea. 2, brainstorm your idea in OneNote. 3, writing a scene in OneNote, because I know as writers, we all get those scenes stuck in our head. that play over and over and over. And sometimes it can block your creativity for another scene or another idea until you get that written down on paper. So that's very important. The fourth thing we're going to go over today is I'm going to show you how I outline my rough outline. I use a 3-act, 27-block scene system that is not my system. It is a tried and true for all authors. I will try and find the person. Actually, it's just been around for so long. I will link it down below. The fifth thing we're going to go over is we're going to go over setting the world knowledge. What is known in the world you're creating? What are the rules of that beautiful place in your mind? So the first thing I want to come over here and show you guys is capturing your idea. All right. So say that you had this story, it's been in your mind for a while. Well, what I do and what has been tried and true for me is to play the what if game. The what if game is what I played while I was actually in a radiation machine being treated for cancer to come up with the ideas for this book. It kept my mind busy, but I would come home and I would store them here. So this is a fallen angel idea. So what if the angel, what if the angel that fell during the rebellion fell in love with a human? What if the angel finds out the human's a hybrid of some sort? What if the angel was not part of the rebellion but fell trying to save a friend? What if the friend was in love with Lucifer? So these are all of your what if questions. Anything like, what if this happens? What if this happens? And you can list and have as many of these as you want, because when you go over to your next area, which is your brainstorming, that's where you're going to whittle it down. And again, this is this month you can book with me to not only go over how to do OneNote, and I'll go through a tutorial with you if you need that. It'll be on a Zoom call or a Google chat. It's for 30 minutes, one-on-one with me. It is totally free for the month of January. I might extend it into February. And it's on my Calendly, my Calendly tool, and I will put it in the thing below. Okay. But your brainstorming idea, this is where you ask your who, what, where, when, how questions about your what if questions. Okay. So one of our what if questions was, what if angels can be redeemed? So if angels can be redeemed, there needs to be a process or a set of rules to that, right? So who oversees it? What's the process? What are the rules? When can the angel apply? What does their status become once they have applied? Where do they have to go? How long would the process take? And you have all those different questions. And you're going to go back and you are going to pull out your best what ifs. And you're going to come back to your brainstorm. And that's where you're going to put your who, what, when, where, how questions. So you're going to whittle down and pull out the best what if questions you have that's going to help you make a full and complete story. And I can go over that with you as well. It won't be in depth because only have 30 minutes, but I definitely will lead you along that path. Not a problem. Then the next one that I have is, I have a title as writing a scene, but this is my zero draft. The first thing I write is that scene that's been stuck in my head for so long, and I just can't take it anymore. I got to get it out of my head, and I write it down. Now, when I say zero draft, what I mean is, a lot of people call it their first draft, but for me, a zero draft is, I don't care about grammar. I don't care about flow. I care about capturing the idea and the character's heart, who they are, and the dialogue that I'm thinking. And I write all that down. And what I do, and I'll show you this in next week's video, when I come back in, I will move my first drafts, my 0 draft, to the other side and come up here and be like, okay, chapter 1. That's where I'm going to worry a little bit about the grammar, worry a little bit about the flow, the clunky, and getting it cleaned up a little bit, so that then I can do that polishing edit to then send it to my editor. But the main thing at this stage during these 5 tips is to get the idea out of your head and onto paper. Okay. Let's see. Okay. This is what I use as an outline. Like I said, this does not belong to me. I've tweaked it for my own uses, which would be as a suspense thriller mystery author. There's normally a love story in there somewhere too. I tweaked it for myself to include certain things that I needed to make my structure sound. So that's what I've got here for you. And the first thing is in Act 1 is your introduction. Introducing your characters, what's going on, who's doing what, the inciting incident, what happens that starts this whole story along the way, the fallout that comes from that incident, the reaction to the fallout, or does the person kind of rebel against what's happening, the action of your protagonist, the consequences, the increased pressure, the plot twist, and then the push to the second act. Then when you get to the second act, you've got new world, new rules. You've got fun and games. You've got old juxtaposition. That is where maybe your character is falling back into some old bad habits. And what happens with that? Then you have a buildup of the mystery and action, midpoint, reversal, consequences, trial and action, and dedication of the characters. What have they finally seen? Okay, it's too far to go back now. I've got to figure this out. I've got to push through. Then you have the calm before the storm. Now, on the calm before the storm and new world, new rules for me, the first of Act 2 and the first of Act 3 are normally really good spots for me as a mystery suspense thriller writer. If I have a love story in my book, then those are good places for me to scoot those in. So as far as outlining goes, just to give you an idea. Then I always have a second plot twist. Like I said, my books are mystery and suspense thrillers, so there has to be a second twist. Then you have a dark moment of the soul, the mirror moment of your main character, or maybe even a secondary character. And then you have the power. Then they find the way to push through and get to the end. And then, of course, you have the action and rally. Converge. Converge is where all of your characters come together to save the day. You balance the battle, the climax, and the resolution. So those are some of the most important things to a well-rounded story that you can have. If you hit all of those within your beat sheet while you are writing, you're going to have a great story. So those are really important. So it's really important that you capture it and put down. And then as you go, you can come back to this document and you can plug in more scenes. You can plug in, oh no, I'm going to move this here and this here. And that's what I love about OneNote is it's just drag and drop and click and add. And there's no handcuffs on you as to what you can do with OneNote. It's just incredible. All right, the last thing we're going to go over today is setting the world knowledge rules for your character. This one's important for me to have in here as a tab because in my early writing days, I wrote a book, and I was in the middle of Act 3 when I realized that I had changed something. I had made something that I had put in the first part of the book that was impossible and that could not happen, and it was part of their world and their magic. And I had started writing it like it was possible. So I had to go back and change so many things and fix so many things. And it was just something that could have been stopped if I'd had an area to capture that information. So this is where I capture, what do your characters know about their world? What is your main character's deepest desire? And does your main character even know that about themselves? Is magic a thing in your world? Are there other types of races other than humans? Do people know, or is it a secret? If it's a secret, who's in charge of keeping the secret? And different things like that. So that is really important for setting yourself up for success when you're writing, especially as an indie author, where your editor is not, it's so hard to find different types of editors. I'm blessed in who I have as my editor, that I have somebody who can look for holes in storylines, grammar, line story edit, but you will not find every editor out there does that. So this is a good way to catch that before you get into a situation where you're ready to go to publish and you find something in your book and you're like, oh no, I can't publish this. That's wrong. And you have to go all the way back, change a publish date, and it, it's snowball effect. So, all right, next time, what we are going to go over is we will look at creating character development and like the oversheet. So I'll have a template for us, much like the 3-act 27 block, but it's different. Creating your main character's journey sheet. So that's another template that I want to share with you guys, and we'll go over step by step. Setting up your OneNote drafting area. So it's very similar to this. Scene 1, chapter 1. There you go. 0. I got it in my draft 0, and I'm ready to go. So I'll show you how to set one of those up. And then drafting actually in OneNote, where you are typing out a scene as a 0 draft, moving it to the side, and then going back and putting it in as a first draft, and then taking that first draft of the chapter or the scene and running it through my personal next step, which might not be for everybody, but for me, I use Grammarly.com. Before I send anything to my editor, that's one of the last things I do before I then go back through and listen to my book and make notes and change things before I send to my editor. But that's not part of OneNote, so it's not in this. I hope that you guys have found this helpful. I hope that you enjoyed it and you stayed to the end. I encourage you to sign up for a time to meet with me and talk about using OneNote or brainstorm your idea, especially this month while it's free, and just make that connection and build a bigger and better community. I really appreciate it. And if you're one of my whiskeys, you know what I'm going to say before I say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. I may not be everybody's cup of tea, but I am a really great group of people's double shot of whiskey. And I am so happy and so proud that you find me just right. So have a good day, and I will see you next time. Bye.